Hey, you guys, good morning. Um, so, uh, I've been posting my videos in this Facebook group, the Jungian group, and it's interesting that there's like 97,000 followers in that group, and often, really, we get lots and lots of comments, and you know, I just thought, well, actually, I was talking to another friend of mine yesterday, Sheila, and Sheila was saying, maybe tell your story a little bit. And I sometimes start a video like this without, I don't tell my story. I kind of go right into it. Lately I've been talking about fear or anger or wanting, desire, and the things that I think that separate us from the sunlight of the spirit, the things that I think keep us from being whole. Attachment to our story even. And I guess part of resisting telling my story is that I don't feel attached to it anymore. It's almost like it happened to somebody else. And but just really briefly, I'll tell you just a few things. I've been in what we call recovery for a little over 40 years. I sobered up at 25, and it wasn't like, I woke up one day and everything was going really well, and I decided, well, I'm going to quit drinking and join Alcoholics Anonymous or whatever, the 12-step world. And it didn't happen like that. It was, things were really, you know, in tough going. It's funny, as a kid, I didn't think I would probably live past 18. I mean, literally, I didn't think I'd live past 18. I didn't have aspirations. I didn't go to school. Well, a lot of my friends were going to university. I was partying and had got, really, uh, wherever I went in life, I found the toughest crowd to hang with, the people in the drug business and that kind of thing. And that's where I was. My view of me, whoever I was not very positive, and I lived in lots of fear, and so drugs and alcohol for me were an amazing. Drugs and alcohol for me were like medication, really. That's my go-to, where I could feel comfortable, and so, you know, um, I drank alcoholically and used drugs. Often, I did a lot of drugs, but my drug of choice was alcohol, and often I would do drugs so that I could drink more, and so I was deep in that. And I remember also thinking, when I got to be 18, I'd never live past 21. It just didn't, I wasn't imagining I was going to be here very long. And I got to 21, I thought, it just, I had no plans for or no consideration even that I would be here a long time. I thought for sure I'd never see 25. And what happened to me, those years between, say, 15 and 25 were just insane, just insane. I don't know how else to describe them. But in that process, I had met a gal, and I don't know what she was attracted to, but anyway, we were hanging out pretty steady, and as things happen, she got pregnant, um, yeah, she got pregnant, and my wake up call came at 25, my brother Bob had gotten recovery in about a year and a half before I did, and he carried the message to me pretty strong, and I had up until that time not really seen a way out. I had no way of, I couldn't figure that I would. Hey, Kathy, and Kaylee. Hi, Kathy and Kaylee. I couldn't see a way out until Bob. He bought me a big book, and I had been searching. There's no question. All my life, in the as far back as I can remember, I felt like I was an alien in this planet, So I was always looking. I was like, okay, there's got to be something here that I'm missing, and what is going on? Does anybody really know what's going on? And even in all the partying and all the crazy lifestyle that I had, there was this me wanting or looking. I remember first of all reading years and years and years ago. There was I think one of my first books. Uh, I remember reading One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and thinking, my gosh, that was Ken Kesey, I think. And I started, and I've been a reader. Even as a kid, I read the New Testament. It's like trying to figure out what was going on. I mean, I'm talking about 7 or 8 years old, trying to figure out, there's something here happening. And I remember in my early teens, like 10, 11, even preteen, looking at yoga books, and there weren't a lot of those kind of things around, but and trying to figure out what was that all about, but attracted to that stuff, and so there was always a curiosity, and I think that if you're watching my videos, you have that curiosity as well, right? Hey, Cammy, nice to see you, love. And you have that curiosity as well. You're wondering, what's going on here on the planet? How can I, you know, um, experience it in a different way? And that's, what was for me. And so when Bob got sober and I started to recognize that that was a spiritually based program, and I didn't know what that really meant, but I started to be interested. He bought me a big book for Christmas. I'll never forget, 1978. He bought me a big book for Christmas, and so I read that, drinking beer, reading the big book, and I thought, well, okay, I'm an alcoholic, but so was everybody I know. I didn't know people who weren't. I certainly didn't hang out with people who weren't, uh, you know, um, so, but it started to dawn on me that if I quit drinking and using, maybe I could see more clearly what was happening here, and I could have some peace, because mostly I didn't have peace. I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. I didn't have, I didn't feel, it was like I had a football in my gut all the time, and as a kid also I was very, I had a huge chip on my shoulder. I was like, angry, really angry, so that's the story. I was angry. I was afraid, and I was afraid to even show, that I didn't know what was going on here, and I didn't know where to find out what was going on here, and I know I didn't fit into the normal, get an education, get married, settle down, and so when Linda got pregnant, I was like, holy Toledo, what am I going to do? Because I hadn't planned on staying. I really didn't think I was going to be here to do that kind of a job. So it was an eye opener for me. And at the same time, Bob was around with the program, and I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. I'll see if I can, find my way in here. So it was December 1980 that I stopped using drugs and alcohol. But I want you to know it wasn't an easy thing. It was like I had numbed my feelings for years, and all of a sudden, there it was. I was in this feeling machine, and not only was this body a feeling machine, but this mind was a crazy meaning-making machine. It was always making up stories about everything, and so it was. The first few years were very, very tough, very, very tough for me in recovery, and especially because I didn't actually find the steps. I was going to meetings sometimes 3 or 4 a day, and that's what kept me, you know, well, sober in the beginning. Was just I just went to meetings and meetings, and because I didn't really I wasn't kind of together enough even to read the book. So I want you to know that I began we'll call it my conscious spiritual journey at that time. Again, to see that okay, I was searching. I was trying to figure out who I was and how I fit in here, but I didn't even have the language. I didn't, I was certainly coming from a long way off, right? And um, at that time, a long way off. Let me see. There we go. And where is? I have somebody calling there. I always forget to turn off my phone. So some people start from different places. When they I didn't have the language. I was so full of anger, so full of self-hate. At the time, and it's like but I don't even many ways I hardly relate to that story. It was something like feels like it was somebody else, because it's so far removed from who um, I don't even want to say but who this is now, and so my encouragement is to stick with it. If you can relate to that in some way, the feelings of it, going from tragedy to tragedy or drama to drama, because I was always, I said I had the Midas touch. Everything I touched turned to shit. you know, you can relate to that in some way. Stick with the journey. Really, stick with it. And there's so many people pointing today towards, really the simplicity of awakening. Okay, and and I hope that sometimes, some of the message that I share has some, there's some benefit. If I'm anything, I'm an example that you can come from, a long way off and find yourself. And, I remember as a kid thinking, wow, when I go to jail, I had, I'm talking about I was 16, 17, 18 years. When I go to jail, I'm going to learn to play the guitar and write a book. And that was, I glamorized, that whole lifestyle. And anyway, craziness, right? And so God, I'm grateful that I didn't have to go to jail. Never did learn to play the guitar or write a book, but still, life has been amazing. Okay, I'm reading, and I'm just, that's a little bit of the story. I hope that's okay to share that. I'm reading on chapter 22 of the Tao-te-ching today, and it's very short. It's only 3 paragraphs, and this is an interpretation of lao-tzu's writing, the Tao-te-ching, by Stephen Mitchell. Thank you, Stephen, for this beautiful translation. I suggest everybody get this book. It is so the pathway to awakening is, there is no pathway in a way. It's a realization. It's already there. Awakening is within us all, and it's not to be found outside. Although, we may have to look under, like I did, under lots of rocks, and I went with lots of teachers. My gosh, I was thinking earlier today, over the years, yes, I studied the 12 steps and everything around. I read every piece of literature. I helped others to the best of my ability to find their way. But I studied with John DeMartini, and I was really blessed to study with Paul Lowe for many years. And I don't know if you would call it studying, but with John for sure it was more of a study, but with Paul it was experience. And I went to see the Dalai Lama, and I mean, I just really did a lot of things looking for this thing that I couldn't really see, and now I recognize it. The door opened, and it's like, it was there all the time, and that's the thing. So if I can help you to find that is already there, that's my mission. It really is. So chapter 22. If you want to become whole, it says, if you want to become whole, let yourself be partial. If you want to become straight, let yourself be crooked. If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be reborn, let yourself die. If you want to be given anything, give everything up. If you want to be given everything, give everything up. The master, it says, by residing in the Tao, sets an example for all beings, because he doesn't display himself, Because he doesn't display himself, people can see his light. Because he has nothing to prove, people can trust his word. Because he doesn't know who he is, people recognize themselves in him. Because he has no goal in mind, everything he does succeeds. When the ancient masters said, "You want to be given everything, give everything up," they weren't using empty phrases. Only in being lived by the Tao can you be truly yourself. Only in being lived by the Tao can you be truly yourself. It's very sweet, isn't it? Very sweet. Chapter 22. In the back of this, Stephen Mitchell wrote a few words about each chapter, and his little interpretation, I guess, of the chapter. It's very short. In the back he wrote, "If you want to become whole, etc., unless you accept yourself, you can't let go of yourself." Unless you accept yourself, you can't let go of yourself. Because he doesn't know who he is. So he's quoting the original transcript. Because he doesn't know who he is, from the standpoint of personality, he knows very well who he is. That is what allows him to use his personality for people's benefit, rather than be used by it. But from the standpoint of true self, there is nowhere to stand and no self to know. He doesn't know, he just is. Beautiful. Only in being lived by the Tao. This is what Paul of Tarsus meant by Tarsus. This is what Paul of Tarsus meant by "not I, but Christ in me." Or, in the more light-hearted vein, the little boy who, when his mother got annoyed and said, "Stop sneezing," answered, "I'm not sneezing, it's sneezing me." Okay. So, thanks you guys. Just a little bit of a personal story, and thank you for joining me. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'd love to have you subscribe. And I don't know if I have a goal, but if there's anything I'd like to just share, that if this can happen for me, it can happen for everyone. It's already there for everyone. So I encourage you to stay the course, if you will. Keep asking, keep letting go of who we think we are, letting go of the attachment to our stories. Okay, love you so much. Thank you.